YouTube. Happy Friday. Is that crunchy? Yeah. I've been looking forward to this actually. This is something totally right up my street. This isn't mine, which is quite rare because I don't know. Well, I do know why I don't have one. I'll explain why I don't have one later. But I'll just tell you it's because I've got that one, which is not exactly the same, but really similar. Yeah, so we've got an Aria Cardinal series. It's a cs-250 model, as it says on the truss rod cover, used by Kurt Cobain. So these are worth more than other guitars that are the kind of same and in the same range, because Kurt Cobain played one of these. There's different numbers. This is a 250. They go up the way. I don't think that this might not be the lowest in the range, but you definitely get they go up, and when you go up, they get fancier tops, more binding, active electronics, neck through, all that stuff. This one's from 1983. You can tell on the back, the bolt-on neck plate on the back, it says Aria Pro 2 accurate bolt-on system, which kind of dates it to the 80s anyway. Accurate bolts rather than inaccurate bolts. And it starts with a 3, and then in below it says made in Japan. If your Aria Pro 2 says accurate bolt-on system, has a similar number system but doesn't say made in Japan, not made in Japan. For Aria Pros. So there's a lot of basically, if your Aria Pro doesn't say made in Japan on it, I don't think it is. There might be exceptions to that. Not all guitars do say it. These like the Washburns generally, I think it was on a sticker on the back, right down to the point of Washburn actually get into a lot of trouble at one point in the mid 80s when they were importing Washburn Wing series guitars, and there was actually somebody employed to peel off the made in Japan sticker and etch in made in USA. You can tell those ones because they've all got exactly the same serial number. I've seen about 10 of them, and they're always a very similar model. So yeah, because back made in Japan wasn't a popular thing back then. Yes, so 2 zebra type pickups, hardtail bridge, through strung Telecaster style. This is probably the original backplate, even though it's cream, which you would think it should be black, but I think it is the original backplate. Yeah. The neck join is a bit bigger than what you would expect on a normal guitar. The neck kind of comes in here, a wee bit in below the pickup and stuff like that. So there's tons of it. It's probably not a very thin guitar, but it's got this sort of, you would now call it a thin finish. Like a lot of Gibsons have this kind of finish. Maybe for the same reason, partly because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to do it this way than to coat it in plastic. But the Gibsons do it for tone and so it relics easier and it wears down quicker. Not because it's cheaper. But there's arguments for whether it makes the guitar breathe more. Is it ringier because it doesn't have the poly coating on it? Possibly. We've got a rosewood fingerboard, big frets, Cardinal series, original custom bolt, patent number. I bet you that patent number is the same patent number I've got on. I've got an Aria PB bass that has a patent number for a neck join system. I bet you that's the same patent number. I've not checked, so I don't bet you, but I think it'll be the same patent number, and it's for the neck join on a PE guitar, which is like sort of. It's not a bolt-on neck like that. And the bass that I've got it on is a through neck, so it's not that either, because that's not even a bolt-on neck system at all. I think it just looks cool to have a patent number. Yes, so 2 volumes, 2 tones. The knobs I like, the ones that have got the notches on them, which are dead difficult to source. Well, they're not difficult. If you don't mind paying a $5 each, they're easy to find, but I want to pay a $5 for the set of 4, like you can with the normal Les Paul knobs. 3-way switch with a cool Matsumoku square head on it. We've got a dual coil split and a phase. Other interesting features are 3-piece laminate neck, which is a great thing. The idea being there is like the grain on one bit's going that way, the grain on the other bit's going that way, and the grain on the other bit's going that way. So if it is going to warp, they all fight against each other, and therefore it doesn't warp. So it's a much more stable design than like a 1-piece neck. It's also it's not cheaper to do, but it's cheaper to make it so it's really good. Because when you see lots of guitars that have, you know, the one-piece maple, and it's like, oh, one-piece maple, that's great. You know, I've got a few guitars like that. I like them myself. But if they've not done it right and used the best type of maple, it just goes like that, and it's like completely useless. I've got a couple of those necks in my garage. You just look at it going, I've got a Gould neck. It just looks amazing. As soon as you put strings on it, it's like this, because it's not good enough wood. Yep, so let's say 2 volumes. So I'm just using the orange TH30 there on clean, nothing on. I'll maybe put the reverb on. Nah, okay. Right, so neck humbucker. I will put the reverb on while we're in clean. Bridge pickup on clean. Both pickups on. Yep, so we're in the neck position. The humbucker, push the switch up. Single coil. Really good coil split. And then this is the bridge on humbucker. And then single coil. Which is a really nice jangly thing. And then this is both of them in both in single coil mode. Both in humbucker and single coil. Right, so the phase switch was wired wrong in this guitar. Someone's been in at it and done something. I noticed that this pickup was backwards as well, which is one of those things that annoys me. It's not set, because originally the Zebra pickups, it was Gibson's, and there was the factory that made the bobbins, which are the plastic bits that the pickups are made of, ran out of the black ink, so they could only have cream ones, and Gibson went, well, okay, we'll just take them instead, because they had metal covers on them anyway. And then there was a thing where people were taking the metal covers off to get a brighter sound, and some people were going, no way, look! Sometimes you had two cream bobbins, sometimes you had black and white, so there was no reason for it. But this one, I prefer it when it's like the 2 inside ones are the same colour and the 2 outside ones are the same colour. Whereas quite often you get it, the Slash set does this, where you've got like, you would have cream black, and it doesn't look right to me. Doesn't make any difference to the sound, whether they're cream or black. But these are they've got MMK45 stuck on the back of them, but the MMK45 pickups, I think that is the base plates are MMK45 base plates, because I don't think these are not the same pickups you get in a Westtone Spectrum. These are much more like your Gibson PAF type thing rather than the DiMarzio Super Distortions, because basically it's a brass plate from whatever manufacturer it is, Maxon I think, or Gotoh. That's that, and then you can put different magnets and different types of pickup on it. So the MMK45 thing's a bit of a weird thing. Provided they're spec'd with a brass back plate, which loads and loads of pickups are. I didn't actually get to phase yet, did I? Yeah, so I rewired the phase switch so it works. So here it is. The phase reverses the phase of the bridge pickup. So that's both humbuckers on. Oh, come on! Right, I'm going to replace that switch. It wasn't working, and then I managed to get it working. It's wired up right. It's just yeah, yeah, that switch would get replaced. I didn't want to replace it because it's a cool looking switch, but I've got one that looks the same from the top, just looks different from the back. I bet if I give it a squish of contact cleaner, it'll come back to life again now. But there you go, so that's it settled. I'll just replace it with a modern equivalent. Like, it's not doing anything. It's 40 years old. These guitars were never, well, I suppose, not saying they weren't designed to be 40 years old, but I don't think anyone really thought they would still be talking about these things. You can hear it trying to work. So it's working there. So there's both pickups in single coil mode. So this is what it will sound like, but I'll just replace the switch. That's the in phase. That's the out phase, so it's like a really thin sound. Should work in humbucking mode as well. Kind of cocked wah almost. Wah, wah, wah. Then in phase. Yeah, I totally thought I'd fixed the switch. It was wired up wrong, but I think it might have been wired up wrong because somebody was trying to make the guitar work, not realising that the actual switch was broken, so they've moved stuff about until it made a sound. What actually, the way it was working before, the bridge pickup wasn't connected at all. So when you selected bridge pickup, it just gave you the neck pickup. But all sorted now. Yep. So this is the one I was working with yesterday. I was doing a wee video on the cheapy type of tuners. When I say the cheapy type of tuners, these are Japanese cheapy type of tuners. So the bending them and putting a wee bit of 3-in-1 oil in them has made them much better. Much better than if you look at a guitar maybe 10 years newer than this, when you get to the sort of 90s and you get the Korean guitars with these sort of tuners on it. They look the same. It's the same design, but they used much shitter metal, therefore they are shit, whereas these just look shit. They actually turn quite good, and I think they're fine. They're not brilliant when you first put the string on, but once they've got any tension on them at all, they turn actually quite smoothly and quite good. Another thing I want to mention is the saddles on these guitars are funny ones. See where the I don't know if you can really see where the screw goes in to the back of the saddle. It goes into the middle of the saddle. No, on this it goes into the left hand side of the saddle. So normal saddles don't fit. You need to buy special ones. But I had the packet sitting there. Just 2 seconds. There it is. Versatility. I didn't source these. The owner of these sourced them. Fit perfectly. So if you've got an Aria Cardinal series and you're missing saddles, the Versatility support Facebook, Instagram. VAT Master Consulting. No, it's not really. Sellers good. Made in China. It doesn't have a model number on it or anything like that. But Versatility do make saddles, and they're nice brass ones as well. This bridge has been painted black, as were the old saddles, as the tuners have been painted black as well. But the paint's coming off them. I'm worried about that phase switch. It's working again. There's a wee bit of a click. I'm just going to replace it. Sod it. The neck on it's quite a bit of a chunk. It's quite a widey flatty, almost getting towards your sort of Jackson Charvel type feel. I'm about to measure the scale length in these at this. I'm not actually sure. I think it might actually be the 25.5 inch Strat scale, being somewhere between, it's I'd be wrong. Gibson scale. Strat scale. I've maybe just worked out a thing that's been sort of puzzling me a little bit. Not that I'm going to stop talking about this guitar, but the reason I didn't buy one is because I've got this one. Which, okay, this one originally had single coil pickups in it and I put P90s in it. But this is a Thor sound from 1982. Okay, so it's a year older. but it's got a lot of similarities to the Cardinal series. It's not exactly the same. It's a little bit more SG pointedness, but a very similar model of guitar. I don't actually know which model this is because the truss rod's missing. It could be a TS instead of a Cardinal series. Original custom Patno 55719. Yeah, so it's the same patent number. They don't have the same neck join, so I don't know. The necks I think are actually exactly the same. They've got a very similar, the 3-piece thingy. This one's a bit figured on this piece. I really like this guitar, and this bridge won't be original either because this has got normal saddles on it. And if you actually look at the bridge, even though it looks very similar, the screw holes are in a different place. This one's been modified before I got it. Also, someone's put Wilkinson Grovers on it. This is my Thor sound. So the thing there, the thing being this being Strat scale and this being Gibson scale, that's why they made the Thor and the Cardinal at the same time. Obviously, this one's got a maple neck as well. It's kind of funny way of looking at it as well because this exact guitar was originally 2 single coil pickups, but there was also one that was just slightly different with 3 single coil pickups in it. So a sort of Telecaster Geosonic and a Strat layout on a Strat scale. That makes sense. And then this one would be humbuckers on a Gibson scale. So you get there, but because it's got the collar splits, you can get Strat sounds out of it as well. Another guitar I looked at was this one, which I thought kind of it looks like an Aria Cardinal series. Actually, when you put them next to each other, they don't really look the same, do they? They do sort of. They're both very obviously 80s and Japanese, but this one's more pointy and longer, so it's not really that similar. Not enough to be a copy. But it is a lovely guitar. Yeah, so Japanese, Matsumoku. I have never played a Cardinal guitar before. I did recommend my pal bought a Cardinal bass and it was awesome. It was a blue colour. It was a glossy finish, so it would be a higher number than this one. Yeah, so what did I have to do to this? I had to rewire that switch. I'm going to have to replace the switch now, and then annoyingly. Just flip this pickup round because it was the wrong way round. That's actually quite annoying there. That's sort of final adjustments. Just because you're looking down the edge of it, you can kind of see that it's not quite. Yep. Oh, I want it to be parallel to the body. Just a bit when you look down there, you can see whether the pickup's sitting level or not. But like I always say, I'm a fan of the sort of cheaper range of the guitars of this era from Japan. Well, there's my Thor bass, which is a similar thing. That's a similar thing. The Roadstar's a similar thing, and to be honest, even the FGN Telecaster's the same sort of idea, where you don't have all the fancy stuff on it. In this case, you can. When I say corners cut, the bits they've done to make it cheaper is not having a tremolo, right? Not having like an expensive finish on it, no binding. Okay, this one they've kind of gone a wee bit cheaper with the tuners because at the time you could only get, Gotoh tuners were the only type of really good tuner you could get for a reasonable price. So that you easily upgraded anyway if it came to it. Doesn't need it. But I like that. And there's no extra stuff that doesn't do anything. Your bindings and your fancy inlays and your maple tops and your all that stuff doesn't make the guitar player sound any different. It makes it look better. But that's what you're paying for that. So I'm always a little bit sceptical when you're looking at a guitar, Harley Benton, when you're looking at a guitar that's got what an amazing looking spec list. So they've not compromised on putting the expensive bits on. Where have they compromised? They've compromised by not building it very well. This is built very well. This is built the same as the expensive ones. So the neck join, the construction, the choices of woods, all that stuff. Not named woods. This won't be one piece of wood. This will be some strips. 1, 2, maybe 4. Well, hold on. If I get the light right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of whatever kind of wood this is. Not specified wood, but that's you can argue whether it makes any difference whether he's made it 2 pieces or 1 piece. I know if I was paying £5,000 for a guitar, I'd want it made it at 1 piece. Yes. Why? Because I want it made it at 1 piece. That's obviously more expensive. Yes. Is it better? It's more expensive. It's harder to do, so it's more expensive. Okay. Make any difference to the sound? It's more expensive. Getting used to the 2 volume controls, quite a difficult one. Try a bit of distortion. Bit of rat pedal. Bridge pickup. Actually, now I'm looking at the picture there when I'm playing this, the truss rod cover that says the model number on it, my Thor sound doesn't have a truss rod cover. I've got a few, what I might do is I might draw around that and then cut it out. So I've got one that's at least the right shape. It won't say what model it is because I don't know what model it is. It's a 100 or a 150 or a 200 because I know what the 300 looks like, and it's like a set neck and fancier. So it's lower than that. But I do put this out to that guy who said, it's all bullshit. My luthier told me that there's nothing special about Japanese guitars. You're much better off with other ones. I dare you. Play this, and then play your Squire, and then say, oh, the Squire just as good. Is it? Fuck. It's nothing like as good. Okay, if it's a Fuji Gen Squire, it's the same. But if it's a modern one, no, I don't even have a Mexican. I've got a Mexican Fender that smells better than that. No, you don't. It's like, or at least try it, and maybe you've got a different opinion. Don't go by what the internet told you, or somebody who's been a luthier for 40 years and he says it's all rubbish. You're like, you're right. What do you think? Oh no, I don't think anything. No, I've already. I get my opinions here. But for me, when this proper gigging, totally pro guitar, absolutely no issues at all. Quite a versatile guitar because it's got the coil splits, so you get your bridge pickup, and then you've got your single coil for. Not untelecastery. Neck pickup, humbucker. The tone control work. It does. The nut's been replaced on this as well because I had to cut. It was alright under the D, G, and B and E strings, but the A and the E and the A were a bit high, so trimmed them down. But I can't blame Aria for that or Matsumoku for that, because that's not the original nut. I pretty much guarantee that the original one, I bet it was cut properly before it broke or got removed or whatever happened. Well, there is a reason Kurt Cobain used these. It was because it was basically a pro level guitar you could get for cheap, which in the early 90s, late 80s were cheap. That's why I used the Fender Mustangs and Jaguars and stuff, because they used to be really cheap until he started playing them, and then suddenly they made them again, because they never made Mustangs and Jaguars from like the 60s until Nirvana, because nobody bought them. They were kind of expensive at the time, so when they were cheap, he was picking up for $200 and stuff like that. Same sort of thing, he's probably picking these up for that as well, and it's like, this one's never going to command a premium, because it's not a very fancy one, it's got that thin finish on it. As you can see, it's a bit, there's a few bits sort of scuffed and stuff like that. And it doesn't look like a very expensive guitar. There are much more expensive looking ones in this. But the actual guitar itself sounds, plays, feels, everything like a guitar, like £1,000 guitar easily. Today, easily. If you were to buy a guitar of this level, you're not really looking at Korean guitars and stuff. You're into American ones, Japanese ones, £1,000 plus to get a guitar this level. Maybe not quite as basic, because you can actually pick up that FGN for sort of £500-600 new, and it's a similar sort of idea, but not popular. It doesn't have the big name on it. Now does this? It's got Aria Pro 2. And Aria Pro, if they'd stopped in 1988 when they moved to Korea, they would be thought of as one of the greats. But the problem is they didn't. Neither did Washburn. None of the companies did. The only one that didn't was Ibanez. Didn't do that because of Mr. Steve Vai. If Steve Vai hadn't come on board and released the Gem in 87, Ibanez would have done the same. Ibanez stayed in Japan up until later on when he started making stuff in Indonesia that was actually quite good. But the first run of guitars that were made in Korea are crap. Okay, I'm sorry if you've got one. They're not crap, right? But they're not anything like these. They're not anything like the Japanese ones. The plywood bodies and the really cheap, the cheap build. Some of them have got like expensive parts on them, but really, they're not the same. The last kind of basically once you get to sort of 85, the cheaper models started being Korean and weren't very good. And then by the time you get to sort of 87, I don't think there's any Japanese. Well, Matsumoku had closed down. So I've got the last one I've got is a Rock Device Bass, which is still Japanese, and it's 87. It's kind of like the last scrapings of the really high quality Aria stuff. Although in saying that, they do actually still make the PE series. They're $4,500. So that's why you've never seen one. I'm not paying $4,500 for a Aria Pro 2. It's like, compare that to a $4,500 Gibson. Bet you absolutely knocks it out of the park on everything apart from it's not a Gibson. Quite a wee bit of rant today. I'm not going to be able to do a jam video. Maybe to have to do another jam video. I was going to have a wee jam using. That's why I brought the Thor sound bass. I was going to have a wee bit of an Aria Pro jam, but I managed to talk for half an hour. It just shows how long it's been since I actually did like a my speciality, my favourite type of guitar video. I mean, okay, the PGM is, it's Japanese, and so is the FGN, but they're not my era. My era is that basically favourite guitar era. Favourite guitars are Japanese, and from the early 80s, kind of, but 81, 82, 83 seems to be the absolute magic zone where you can get guitars that look a little bit different, very well built. And before they started getting the bean counters in, when they start going, oh, we'll try and make it a bit cheaper next year, sort of thing, that kind of seemed to start sort of happening in Japan, kind of 84, 85, up until 86. By that point, it was like, oh, we'll just make it cheaper, we'll make it in Korea, and we'll just basically just forget about the whole quality thing. It doesn't matter, people will still buy it. Something like this was like back in the day when you would go into a shop, try a guitar, and you would play this, and you would play whatever the other ones were kicking about. This would just be miles better, and that's how they sold, trying to get that reputation. And then once they started going for the later on ones, would go up here, yeah, but we can make it look like that. A lot of the people that are buying these don't really play the guitar, so they don't know. As long as it looks really nice, we'll be able to do that. And then it's like the quality just goes, and we're basically still sort of there. Although, to be honest, the cheap guitars you get now are nothing like as bad as the cheap guitars of this era. Not Japanese cheap guitars of this era. I mean, at this time you were buying, let's be honest, absolute crap guitars that are just, they don't really exist anymore. You don't see them because they were just crap and they felt they turned to dust. But, for maybe 2/3 the price of this. So you're sitting there, oh, I'll just buy that. And it's like, you're looking at some horrible Les Paul custom copy for, I don't know, £100, and this would be £150. And it's like, oh, so Les Paul will have that. And it's like, but this is a real guitar. Compare this to a Gibson Les Paul. Don't compare it to the equivalent these days of an Epiphone or whatever. So I would stand by it if you're looking at modern guitars, apart from the very early ones, which is a bit different with both Epiphone and Squire, because Epiphone were actually made in this factory at one point as well. Not for very long. They're not very common, and a Squire were made in the Fujigen factory, which is the sort of Fendery type. They made more Fenderies, and Matsumoku made more Gibson-y sort of thing, a little bit. But there's no modern Epiphone or Squire that can compete with these. On looks and on paper, maybe. Not when you actually play them or listen to them. So that's been my week of all different things. Actually, I did a Fuzz Thursday last night, but quite a lot of people were commenting on my wee 5-minute video, so I'm making up for only doing a 5-minute video yesterday on, actually it was these tuners, how to bend them back into shape. And Alex said, I don't think it really needs new tuners, to be honest. They seem fine if you really have an issue with them, but I don't think you will. I mean, the only time you really notice, you can look at them and go, oh, they don't look very good, right? Apart from looking at them, the only time you really notice is when you're taking strings off and putting them back on again, and they're turning. They're a little bit crunchy, but as soon as the string's anything like in tune, they're actually quite smooth and quite good, and they don't go out of tune. I've yet to come across slipping tuners. You know, it's like, oh, these tuners are rubbish. They go out of tune. Really? I've never had tuners that actually go out of tune before. I've had ones that are crunchy and don't turn, or ones that are obviously broken, or you turn the thing and it turns and it doesn't turn. Yeah, broken ones, yeah. But if you turn this and that turns, they don't slip. It doesn't matter how much you pull it. It doesn't unwind the tuner. That doesn't happen. In my experience, obviously some people have. My luthier told me. Yeah, but has it happened to you? Would be my question. Sorry, I'm preempting quite a lot of the usual normal crap I get from all that whenever I say, it's like, oh no, my favourite guitar. That's fine, you can still get really good guitars, yes. Squires and Epiphones can be really good, yes. They can be amazing and totally fine and brilliant, and you might absolutely love it, and it sounds brilliant, not as good as this though. So it's got an automatic lead pulley outy thing on it as well. Yeah, so in conclusion, really like it. What do I not like? I'm not used to the shape. Actually, there's a Westbury Standard which looks. Is that not a Westbury Standard? It's maybe not exactly the same. Westbury, or another Matsumoku company, look very much like this. The shape. I think what I've got to do is I've got to hang. If I hang it in the wall, I bet you end up really liking it. So that I guess I'm going to say the tuners could be better, but I mean they're fine. I get why there's the 2 volumes and the 2 tones. I probably prefer just the 1 and the 1. Probably. But that's not really. That's not the guitar. That's a design. Same with the shape. It's a choice that was made. Maybe it's not one I would make, but still totally acceptable. There's not really anything else I don't like about it. Excellent and not expensive these days. Much more expensive than they used to be. But in saying that, you get them and they don't quite work properly. I mean, I think this one was a bit of a bargain, but it's 40 years old or 41 years old, so it's things have been somebody's tried to change things a bit. Maybe it's been dropped, it's been broken. These things happen on a 40-year-old guitar. More so on one like this, because this wouldn't have been a super expensive guitar when it was new. So this has survived all of the 80s, all of the 90s, and all of the 2000s being a crap guitar. I'd rather have a Squire Strat era. For this is when you get people with guitars like this, like basically folk like me, who didn't know what they were doing, who cut them up, put different pickups in them, and try changing the neck over and try scalloping the fretboard and all that. These are the sort of guitars that they had to survive that and be good and be looked after. Whereas if you'd spent 10 times as much and bought a Gibson, you would have looked after that and you would have kept it in its case and all that. One like this, not so much. But this is definitely a proper pro level gigging recording guitar with huge amounts of variation in it, because you've got the humbuckers and it splits the singles down, and they're really good pickups as well. They're not shiters. They are awesome pickups. I don't think, although they're called MMK 45s, I think there's different types of that. These are more, to me, more like more like your Gibson PAF type thing. They will have cool names. I don't know, because I know even though they were the same pickups that West Tone used, what's it? The Hammer. There's ones called The Hammer, and there's ones called Protomatic, and they've got cool names, but which is cool, you know. Protomatic 4. I think I've got an Aria with Protomatic 4 pickups in it, like that. And it's like you look at the one from the previous year and they're just called humbucking pickups, and they're the same pickups, but they thought, oh, this doesn't look very good in the brochure, let's call them Protomatic 4. Yeah, it's actually my West Tone that's got the Hammer pickups in it, which are the same as the ones that are in the other West Tones, but they're called the Hammer in my one. Yeah, so 35 minutes with no jam in it. I'll have to do a jam video as well. That'll make up for it. So there, my week of having different videos. The Shredder, the Paul Gilbert one. The J-Pax one. I've forgotten what the other videos were, but it was something different. American Telecaster, like the expensive, normal guitar. Wee bit of wiring, or a wee bit of tech tips. Japanese classic. So tomorrow... Ooh, I don't know. As I said, I did a first Thursday, but I'll do that. That'll just be next week's video. Maybe a shootout, or maybe a jam with this and the Thor sound. You probably get that would pretty much cover quite a lot of bases. You've got like, oh, I've got this, got single coils and humbuckers. What about P90s? I've got this one for P90s, and really, you're talking about you could almost have these two guitars for the price of an Epiphone Les Paul, and both of them absolutely destroy an Epiphone Les Paul in every single category you could possibly imagine, apart from, oh, but it's not, Slash doesn't play one of that. Apart from that, absolutely destroy them. Any Epiphone Les Paul. Sorry, I keep bitching on Epiphone Les Pauls, don't I? It infuriates me a bit. It's like, oh, people get their opinion. Well, I suppose not everyone's got the opportunity to try as many guitars as I do, and to be honest, a lot of the ones I bought were bits missing off them, so they were very cheap. I can't remember. I think I paid. That one, I think I paid 80 quid for that. And you're like, you know, what kind of guitar do you get for 80 quid that works? And it's like, well, that actually works, it's in tune and it's got all the bits on it. And there's nothing actually broken on it. For 80 quid, you got a guitar that worked. Wow, never mind getting a Japanese, pretty cool guitar. I kind of want to do another video on that. I really like this one, I don't play it enough. This is one that's got G&L pickups in it. And this was meant to have two single coils, which was fine. How did I justify doing that? I can't remember, because I wanted a P90 guitar. I had these pickups. I sold my Golden Godin, which is a really nice guitar, not as good as this though, and worth 5 times as much. I really like this one. This is my Sabbath guitar, because it's got an SG vibe to it somewhere. I think it's maybe just this contour that makes it look like an SG, or this or something. It's not quite an SG, but it's kind of going in that direction. I really like this one. Or is it 82, this one? But it's the same neck. The same neck as this, apart from maple. But they're very good. Very good. So basically, if you see one of these, snap it up. Even if there are bits missing or it needs work done on it, the difference, Scott was saying this when we were doing one of the J-Pax guitars the other day, see the difference in actually adjusting and working with one of these compared to a cheapie. What a difference it makes. You know, it's like, I mean, I'm talking, this is 40 years old, and it's like, the screws turn. And it's 40 years old, whereas try to buy a Squire that's 15 years old and see if the screws turn, you're like, oh, chewing the heads off, and it doesn't quite fit right, and everything's just a bit haphazard. This is all everything's in a straight line. It's meant to be in a straight line. You know, the pickups they're perfectly centered and they're in the right place, and all these things. You know, you buy a Harley Benton, this pickup will be like, you know, like this, and this one's like way down low, and then the bridge is kind of here, and you know, like not really the same sort of thing. I would definitely, no matter what you did, I'll have an open challenge for you. Oh, I can't do it with this one, just not my guitar. Compared to that one, which is basically the same guitar but a slightly different model. I think they're probably the same price in the catalogue. Maybe they stopped making that in 1982 and they started making this or something. So it's single causes. But no matter what you do to a Harley Benton, an open challenge. Bring me a Harley Benton that you think's better than that, and then play that one, and then tell me that the Harley Benton's better. No matter what you did to it, you can spend as much money as you like on it. You can spend hundreds of pounds to get a luthier to put the neck in the right place and move everything, and then do the frets, obviously, all that stuff, and then compared to that one, which basically what I did with that was, which I didn't need to do, I put P90s in it. That's really all. I tuned it. I don't remember doing any major surgery or any actual adjusting things or anything like that. It was already just like that, so that's fine. 40 minutes, right, there's definitely no jam this week. So, rock on, and tomorrow night is another video, which I've got to do something different. A shootout. I haven't done a shootout. I'll do a shootout. I should probably do some wiring. I could probably actually do a video of me changing the phase switch in this. I might as well, because I'm going to change the phase switch in this, and it'll take an extra 5 minutes to set the camera up and record it. I'll probably put that out next week. On how to wire a phase switch, but really basically just replacing the one that's in this, because it's to my wiring anyway, because what it was wired to was like, it reeks of somebody who's doesn't know how to, who was very well soldered. Somebody knew how to solder but was following a diagram, or didn't know where things were meant to go, so they put the wires on, look, really good connections, but in the wrong places. The Japanese did things slightly differently anyway, so it's like, if you actually understand how the concept works, which is how I do it, that's why I can do all the stupid wiring and stuff like that. I don't go, oh, but it says put the red wire here. What red wire? Every pickup's got different coloured wires, so if you know that it's just the start or the tap wire, like, yeah, that's fine. Colour doesn't really matter. Rock on, catch you later.